Okay. So hello all. In the last video we studied about the purpose of embedded system. So the purpose of embedded system falls under these 6 categories. That means the embedded systems that we are using today in today's world falls under these 6 categories that we are using. What are those 6 categories? The first one is data collection or storage or representation, right? Because we know that today's world deals with digital system. So we have to collect the data, then we have to store it, and then we have to represent it. So these are the 3 main categories that which the embedded systems will fall in. Then the embedded systems are also used in data communication, then the signal processing, then monitoring, then control and application specific user interface. So under these categories we are going to find out the application of embedded systems. So we'll study in detail one by one. So the first purpose is the data collection or storage or representation. So data collection through the data acquisition systems, right? So normally the data collection is done through the acquisition systems. The data collected might be analog or might be digital, right? So might be analog or might be digital. So that's how we collect the data. Then what are the examples? The examples are A to D or D to A converters. Okay, so analog to digital or digital to analog processing is done for data collection. It is done for storage, processing, manipulation, analysis and transmission, right? So why we collect the data? It's collected for storage, for processing, and for manipulation and for the analysis, right? And at the last we are going to have a transmission. So for example is digital camera. Why do we use digital camera? We use the digital camera for capturing, for converting an image, for storing an image and for transfer phases. Okay. So for data collection, we are having a simple example, which is nothing but a digital camera, which many people will be utilizing it. Okay. So why we do it? We do it for capturing, we do it for converting, we do it for storing, and we do it for transfer phases. Then the second purpose is the data communication. Okay, so the second purpose of embedded systems is data communication. So what are the applications? Okay, so normally the embedded systems are used in complex satellite communication systems to simple home networking systems, right? So in this complex satellite communications or in home networking systems, we preferably use data communication. That means a satellite has to send the data from the satellite to the region, okay, to the region. Also we are having a home networking systems also wherein the data communication takes place. The transmission is achieved either by a wireline medium or wireless medium, right? See, normally satellite communications are wireless medium. Okay, and normally satellite communications are wireless medium. By chance, if you use CCTV cameras and all, so they are all wired systems, right? But the main purpose of these systems is to communicate the data which is being captured. So how does the data gets transmitted? The data gets transmitted either by analog or by digital means. Okay, the data gets transmitted either by analog or by digital means. In the pictorial, it has been represented the same thing. First, the satellite, the data which has been captured will be transmitted to the ground station and then portable stations. And okay, so also it has been used for in-vehicle in-vehicle movement of the data. Okay. So this is how we use for data communication. This is where we use communication of the data. Then the data communication is achieved through the wireless modules. Okay, so which are the wireless modules that are being used? They have been used as Bluetooth, Zigbee, Wi-Fi, then enhanced data for global evaluation. Okay, and then GSM modules and all, right? So these are the embedded systems which are used to transmit the data. Okay, so where all does this will vary? This will vary in terms of the distance that the data gets transmitted, right? For example, the distance that the data Bluetooth transfers is different, the Zigbee transfers is different, and the Wi-Fi transfers is different. So here all we find out that the embedded systems are getting used. And in wired line, we are using RS-232 cable, USB, TCP/IP protocol, and all. So these are the wired modules. Okay, they are used for transmission of the data. So what are the examples? The examples are network hubs, routers and switches. Okay, so those are who are into the transmission mode. Okay, so those who have the knowledge about transmission and all. So they might be knowing that the network hubs, routers and switches. Okay. Then that signal processing. Embedded systems with the signal processing functionalities are employed in applications demanding speech coding, synthesis, audio video codec, transmission, etc. Okay. So normally signal processing is used for speech coding. Okay, because we have to code the speech so that it can it cannot be decoded by anybody. Then we want, if you want a speech synthesis and if you want a video audio codec and all. Okay. So the very good example is hearing aid. The very good example that we use is a hearing aid, right? So normally those who are having the hearing loss, okay, they need to have an hearing aid. So what does the hearing aid will be having? See, normally first and foremost thing, it will be having a microphone. Okay, then it will be having an amplifier, then speaker, then battery, and okay, and then ear hook. Okay, so these are all the things will be there in a hearing aid. Okay, so basically it is used for to make sure that the people who are having a okay, so who doesn't listen, okay, for them the hearing aid is used to make sure that they listen the sound very clearly. Okay, but what is the point? The point is that the hearing aid is an embedded system. So that means what? It is an example of digital signal processing, data processing. Then the purpose of embedded system falls under monitoring also. Okay, so normally embedded products coming under the medical domain are with the monitoring functions, right? So anyway, nowadays everybody is having the point of aware of the medical domain and all. Okay, so now if you go to medical checkup and all, we'll be having lots of instruments. Then all the instruments are considered to be as embedded systems. For example, the ECG, which is used to test the heartbeat of a patient. Okay, and okay, so these systems are considered as embedded systems. But the point is, these monitoring systems cannot impose any control over the heartbeat. That means it cannot impose any control over the system, right? They are just considered as monitoring systems. What are the other examples? The other examples are digital CRO, then digital multimeter and logic analyzers, right? So normally in the laboratories we are using all those things. Okay, so these are the examples of the embedded systems which are mainly used for monitoring. Then the one more purpose of the embedded system is the control. Okay, so the system with a control functionality contains both sensors and actuators. Okay, sensor is the one which senses the environment and actuator is the one which acts based on the input given by the sensor. Okay, sensors are connected to the input port for capturing the changes in the environmental variable for measuring variable, right? So normally sensors are nothing but what? Transducers, right? So they are going to take the input and then they are going to convert the particular input into output. Okay, so they are going to take the input and then they are going to convert it to particular output, right? So that's what is called as transducers. So these transducers are used for the control purpose. The very good example is air conditioning system. So what does this air conditioning system will do? It will always sense the temperature of the room and then it makes sure that much of the okay, if there is a variation in the temperature, then the air cooler is used to make sure that the temperature, the reference value of the temperature can be maintained. Okay, this is a very good example for control. That means what? Here the external environmental characteristics are getting checked and then control is getting imposed. Then the last one is application specific user interface. So the very good examples are buttons, switches, keypad, lights, speakers, display and display units and all, right? See, normally a mobile phone is a very good example of application specific user interface. In mobile phone, the user interface is provided through the keypad, graphic LCD module, system speaker, vibration, etc. Right? So for example, it has been given over here in the Nokia mobile. Okay, that has been taken as an example. You can find out that the numbers have been given. So these are nothing but what? User interface, right? So whenever we press this, the processor will understand that okay, the number 1 is getting pressed. That means what? This is what the user will understand. Okay, so this will act as an interface between what? Interface between a human and to the processor. Okay, so these are considered as application specific user interface. Okay, Then the next part is elements of embedded systems, right? So what are the elements of embedded systems? This diagram clearly corresponds, it clearly shows that what are the elements of an embedded systems. So at the first thing, the embedded system will be having what? System core. System core will be having, this is the first element of an embedded system. Then we will be having the second element as memory, then the third element as communication interface, then you will be having output ports, okay, then you will be having other supporting integrated circuits and subsystems, and then you will be having input ports, okay, to which we have to connect sensors. At the output port we are going to connect actuators. To run this embedded system, we need to have a embedded firmware. Okay, this firmware is nothing but what? This is nothing but a software. This is nothing but a software. Okay, so this overall system forms an elements of an embedded system. Okay, so in the next video we are going to study about what are the elements of embedded systems, right? So an announcement to all the students who are watching this. This course is dedicated only for not only for this course is dedicated for the people who are there in VTU syllabus, right? So this is there in 6th semester of ENC. So this course is dedicated for VTU syllabus, right? If you like the course, please press the like button and subscribe it, and please share it with your friends so that they can also get enhanced with the knowledge. Okay, so thank you for listening.